Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about how to play the defensive operator Rook. If you haven't checked out my first operator video, I'd encourage you to check it out as I'll be following the same format. If you guys like these videos, feel free to give it a thumbs up or leave a comment down below, and be sure to share this video with your friends. Enjoy! So first I'll jump into Rook's loadout. First thing I'll say is that Rook has a very flexible loadout. I usually base my gadgets and weapons on what would best benefit my team. Starting with a primary, I'd recommend either the P90 or the MP5. The SG CBQ shotgun is nothing special and it's pretty situational, so I wouldn't recommend it. Both subs are solid options, and I often find myself switching between the two. You could maybe say that the P90 is better suited for close range and the MP5 is better for long range engagements. But most of your fights will be played at mid-range, so either one is just fine. Personally, I've been using the MP5 as I'm most comfortable with its recoil, and for attachments, I'd recommend the ACOG sight on both weapons, as well as a flash hider. And moving on to Rook's secondary, both choices are great in different situations. The P9 is great for finishing off an enemy instead of reloading. The Magnum has a very high damage and good range, but it's a little harder to use. And again, with my preference, I use the Magnum, but either secondary is a good choice. As for Rook's gadgets, it really depends on what your team needs. If your team isn't running a shotgun or doesn't want to waste a C4 to open a wall, then impact grenades are a good choice. Impacts are also handy when dealing with a shield operator, as they can do a little bit of damage if thrown correctly. The shield is useful for when you need to hold a tight angle, or if you need some extra protection, or if Bandit needs cover, if he's attempting to bandit trick on certain maps. The shield can also be used to stop a Twitch drone, however this is pretty situational. My preference is to always run impacts unless my team specifically needs a shield. As you can see, just based off of the loadout, Rook is a very flexible character. I find that Rook is a great starting point for new players entering the game, as his ability benefits the entire team. I'm not saying that Rook is just for beginners, as he's a huge part of the competitive scene, just saying that for brand new players looking to purchase their first defensive operator, Rook is a really good choice. Let's get into what Rook's role is. To start, I'll quickly mention the different roles of the defensive team. On one hand you have roamers, and on the other you have objective players, or OBJs for short. A roamer should be picking off any attackers that fall behind, or should just generally be slowing down the attacking team. OBJs should be spending most of their time in the objective, or on cams gathering intel. So with Rook being a 1-speed 3-armor defender, he's an obvious choice for an objective player. Rook should not be running around trying to get hatches, or be trying to get a quick spawn peek on the attacking team. You should be putting up reinforced walls and getting an angle to hold the objective. Rook is also useful for putting up additional barricades to slow down the attacking team, as he doesn't really have very much setup past dropping his armor. That being said, let's talk about that oh so important armor.
Are you serious?
Rook's armor essentially gives your team an extra few hit points when engaging the enemy. It doesn't slow down your operator, it just gives you a bit of extra protection, which can make a huge difference in a gunfight. Rook's armor will also make sure you're put into a down but not out stage, as long as you don't get hit with a headshot. But, and I can't stress this enough, Rook needs to place down his armor as soon as the round starts. It's so important that your team can pick up their armor and get on with setting up. I can't tell you how many times as a roamer I've had to give up on collecting armor because Rook waited way too long to put it down. At this stage in the game, there is nothing in the prep phase that the attacking team can do to stop you putting that armor down or destroy it. So you have no reason to not drop it as soon as the round starts. During the action phase, Rook should be playing pretty passively. He's slow and thus shouldn't be making any huge plays against oncoming attackers. Rook should be checking cameras and gathering intel, and holding down angles until the enemy comes closer. There's no specific operator that I pair Rook with, simply because his gadget is useful for the entire team. He's a solid choice for both longtime players and new players looking to get into the game. And that's about all you need to play the defensive operator Rook. Feel free to leave any feedback or anything that I left out down in the comments below. Also, please check out the link in the description for the music that was played today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.